Over you, yeah, to everyone else too. Sorry for the delay.
Only 3 minutes.
Yes.
It's not like half an hour.
No, that's true.
Okie doke. If everyone's ready. Where are you? Oh, we're going to start with
I saw her, yeah, she's hiding away there.
Zero from Sky Sports News.
Hiding away there.
Hey Roy, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Yourself?
Good, thank
Good.
you. Just initially wanted to ask around team news and if there's anything we need to be aware of, and then updates on the injuries we've got so far.
The injuries haven't changed that much in terms of the ones who've been out for a period of time, but as you probably saw in the game against Brentford, Michael Easter had to come off right at the end. He felt his hamstring with the last sprint that he made in the game, unfortunately for us. So he won't take part in this game, and we'll have to nurse him through and hope he gets back as soon as possible. The next question I know will be for how long is he out, and I can't answer that one, I'm afraid.
So there's no indication of how long the injury is at the moment?
No.
Okay. You ended, I guess, an 8-game winless run coming up against Brentford. It was a great game. I guess what was your assessment of that, and how important was that win leading into this fixture before the winter break?
Yeah, when you've had a long spell where you're not winning, it's important to get a win. We had, it can be a little bit simplistic to judge a period of a team's play purely on wins and losses, because as we can see, I thought Brentford looked quite good, but they've got a series of losses. Newcastle United got a series of losses. In this league, it can happen. A lot depends really on how you think the team's playing and what sort of results you've had in the matches you've had to confront, and we've had one or two encouraging results, albeit that they've been draws rather than wins. But that win, of course, the longer it goes, becomes more elusive, and when it eventually comes, it's a big relief for everybody, not least of all the club and the fans and the players themselves. And it does give you that little bit more belief that some of these games where we've been bemoaning the fact that we've only drawn, but it could have been so much better. You've now got the points to show that your performance merited something, and I thought our performance against Brentford did merit something.
You've had, obviously, I know you mentioned Elise now being injured, but his contribution to that game with 2 goals, and Eze as well. They've only played 3 games so far this season together. How great are they as a pairing? Because you seem quite thrilled with them at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think they're excellent, the pair of them. Elise's performance in particularly, even against Chelsea in the game before, I thought was the type of performance that you, even as a coach of great experience, you'd happily pay money to watch. So we were delighted with him and for him in that game, and even sadder that he's going to face a period on the sidelines, and I can only hope that period won't be for too long. And of course, Eze also, he's had a season which has been to some extent hampered by injuries, one very big one and one slightly less so. But it's good to see him back and looking to regain his top form, because there's no doubt that all teams, whether they're fighting to win the league or fighting to stay in the league, you need your best players, and there's no doubt that those two are very much in the category of our best players.
Looking into this game, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Sean Dyche. He's the manager that faced a lot of difficulty, I guess, trying to keep Everton up last season was priority, and then the 10-point deduction, but they seem to come back into form over again through those adversities. What are your thoughts on him and, I guess, Everton as a whole?
Well, I think he's done an excellent job. There's no question of that. Right through that period you just mentioned, and not least of all in this most recent period when he's had to face the body blow, really, of being told that you're doing okay in the league, but we're going to take 10 points from you. But I think he and the team have reacted quite brilliantly to that. He's just a very good manager. He knows the job. He knows what needs to be done, and he has the ability to engender those results with the players he works with, and to get the players believing in what needs to be done in his team to win matches. And he's done that at Burnley for very many years, and now he's doing it at Everton. So I like him. I have enormous respect for him. I think he's an outstanding manager, but I'm only really saying everything which anyone else in this league who's worked either with him or played against him would say.
And what can you expect from Everton coming into this game?
Well, one can always expect from Everton. They'll be organised, they'll be very disciplined, they'll be hard-working, They'll know exactly what their jobs are on the field. They'll have a very clear philosophy. They'll know exactly what they think they need to do to stop us playing and to cause us problems when they've got the ball. Which again, I'm really describing something which, you know, a good manager and coach should be trying to produce in his team. And I'm talking about a good manager and coach who's got good players. So it's a very, very tough game. It's if you're going into the third round of the FA Cup, you wouldn't exactly pick Everton as your first opponent, but that's what we got come out of the hat, and so that's what we'll deal with. We know they'll make it hard for us, but it'll be our job to make it hard for them.
Lovely. Just lastly, I wanted to ask you around Wayne Rooney, his management start at Birmingham City came to an end after only 13 weeks. What were your thoughts on that as someone that knows him quite well?
I know him well, I've worked with him for 4 years. He's got an outstanding football brain. He was a magnificent footballer. He's an icon of English football. One always hopes that when an icon of English football gets a chance to step up back in English football, you know, in the Championship, he's going to get a chance to really show what he can do, and I can only agree with him. I think the amount of time he was given to really show his ability and his qualities was a short one. It's the world we live in at the moment, and I know Wayne understands and accepts that like we all do, but I'm sad that it happened, and I know that he will bounce back. I read or heard that he's going to take a little break from the game. I think that's an intelligent thing to do, because there's no doubt that Wayne Rooney will always be on people's lips and in people's minds when it comes to future jobs, because he really does understand football. He's proved that, and as a player I always thought he was very thoughtful and very astute tactically.
Lovely,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alex from BBC.
Hi Roy.
Alex.
How hard is the balancing act of wanting a cup run against the importance of staying in the Premier League?
Well, I've got to say that there's been times in my career here where I've been more concerned about the staying in the league factor, not just because we have a fairly healthy margin, more to the point I think we have a good team, and I think this team is going to be more than good enough to keep us in the league. So I don't have to worry quite so much about that balancing act as maybe I have done at certain times in the past. It would be nice to have a cup run. It would be nice to do well. We're certainly going to have a go at it. And I expect, especially given the way things have panned out this year, with the way the mid-season break has gone, that we'll be able to play this game, give everything we need to give in this game, and still recover in time for the next one.
And as you touched on there, clubs need their best players, and as the transfer window is open, how important is it that a club the size of Palace is able to hold on to their best players going forward to progress and compete with those bigger teams?
Well, it is important. I mean, I've got to say, I left in 2021, and when I came back I found a very, very good team there, and in fact the team the year before perhaps had been even stronger, because there was a Gallagher on the books then as well. So the club has brought good players in, and they brought those good players in to make progress and to try and do better. I think this year we've been exceptionally unlucky with the injuries to key players, and not least of all Doucouré, an important player. He doesn't get mentioned because his injury is so serious, but he should be mentioned because, you know, he was a key figure in our central midfield. So I think to keep hold of players and to try and make certain that the ones that you've signed, and who are the good ones, who you believe will help the club go forward in the future, that you keep them. But wanting to keep people and being able to, that's two different things. And I hope, of course, that the club won't have those dilemmas to deal with, and I'm pretty certain I can speak for the chairman and Doug Freedman as well. They would be more than happy if we go through now until at least the summer with no worries about the players we already have got.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ian?
Hi Roy. I think like me, you're probably quite a traditionalist in the game.
I don't know about that. Go on, what's a traditionalist?
Well, FA Cup third round weekend starts on Thursday night with your game against
Oh, right,
Everton.
yes, okay.
There's only 10 games on Saturday at 3 o'clock. It goes right over to a Monday. I mean,
Right.
where do you stand on that? Because we all want this competition to still be the special thing it was.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, you know, that hasn't really occurred to me. I think over the last few years I've got used to games being moved around in the calendar. I mean, I think for the football watching public, it's a good thing, or for the football listening public in your case. I don't think that's a major disadvantage. I think we've all got quite used now to we play when people think it's the best time for us to play, and when we can earn our money, because don't forget the money we're getting from TV companies has got to be in some way regenerated by them. And if they think that asking us to play on Thursday helps them, then we get on with it. So I'm not too bothered about that. So if you talk about the tradition of the FA Cup, of course I do believe in that. I do uphold that. I do think it is an extremely good competition. And I do think that all teams really would like to have a good FA Cup run, they certainly. And we're no different to those other teams.
Sometimes I'd turn up at a game and a Premier League team will make 10 or 11 changes, and the manager says it wasn't a weakened team, it was a changed team because I have two players a game. Is that...
Well, that's also really a part of the changing face of football, isn't it? The top teams in particular, they carry 25 players, and on top of that they've probably got 13 or 14 academy players who are just about to go out and be bought for £40 million to be a star in some other team. They've got all of those options, and I can understand that they see that as not being a particular weakening, and a way of making certain that they are giving people a game that otherwise they might not be able to give them if they just try to keep to the 11 that have been playing. So I understand those things. I think that the teams now that go out, so-called weakened teams, aren't weakened teams as such, and the higher up the league you go, where their squads are bigger and much stronger, even less so. But of course, for teams a little bit lower down, or for teams maybe facing a lot of injuries, they do run the risk that if they decide to leave a lot of the players who are regarded as the regular players out, it might not go quite so well for them. So that's where the balancing act comes in that I think Alex was asking me about earlier.
Palace have got to cup semi-finals before, cup finals before, never actually won it. How special would it be? I know you spoke really highly about the fans after the Brentford game. How special would it be if you were, and I'm not writing you off in any way, to sign off this season with a cup win?
Well, it'd be lovely, of course it would. I mean, everything you can do in that respect for fans, they like to say that their club has won trophies, so of course that would be a great thing to be able to offer them, if you like. But we can only do our best, we can only do what we can do, we can only play with the players that we have available, and put our best foot forward in the games. But if you're talking about the dream and a hope, then of course that would be a big dream. It would be. But first we've got to get past a pretty difficult hurdle in the shape of Everton, who have been playing exceptionally well, and in particular have been getting very good results away from home.
At Selhurst, for example.
Exactly.
You played once already this season.
Yeah, we played quite well, but they won.
Finally, you asked about Wayne Rooney a little earlier. There seems to be a big difference between being a great footballer and a great manager. I mean, I look at the golden generation we had, the team that you had with England as well. None of them have gone on to be great managers, or not yet. None of them really succeeded at management yet. What is it, having been and still being a great manager, what is it about the job you do that is very different to the job that maybe they do when they actually play on the pitch?
Well, I don't think it's a question of comparing someone with more experience and who's been in the job longer than those people like myself. It's not a question of comparison. It's perhaps more a question of the climate that people work in these days. And I think sometimes the bigger name players might be given a chance at a top club or a club in an elevated position. And I'm thinking in particular of Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard, even more than Wayne, get that chance. But unfortunately, the way the climate is these days, that the judgment on them will come very, very quickly and will be quite severe. They'll be welcomed into the club because of their name, and they'll be expected, because they are Steven Gerrard and they are Frank Lampard, and that suddenly you're going to come in and the team that you're taking over, which hasn't been doing brilliantly, is suddenly going to fly because you're here. I think that's an unrealistic demand. I think that, you know, they've got to, all of them, say, I didn't really get a good chance. You know, no one gave me 2 years. I didn't get 3 or 4 transfer windows. I didn't get a chance to really decide. What I did, I took over a group of players. Wasn't going great. They thought, I know what, let's get Rooney in, let's get Lampard in, let's get Gerrard in, and it'll all change. Well, that's where the dream, which is, or the myth, which is quite often proliferated, that a manager has some sort of magic wand, and he will wave that wand, and the team that's doing badly will now do well because he's there. Now, sometimes it works, you know. Sometimes that's exactly what happens. The new manager comes in, the team starts doing better, the team starts playing better. Great, but it's by no means a certainty. So for me, I wouldn't, at the moment, want to cast aspersions on any of those three in terms of their ability to be good managers. And I might even say, if I was to be philosophical, that these experiences might even help them along the way, because, you know, somewhere along the way you're going to suffer some real blows in this game as a manager, perhaps more than you often suffer as a player. So they've suffered their blows early, and if they survive them, they'll come out even stronger, because I believe that all three of them, and that will go for other players of that group, when they step into the breach, I'm convinced that they have the qualities, both as coaches, managers and leaders, to succeed.
Brilliant. Good luck, Roy.
Thank you.
Rachel?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Just one on Michael, you say obviously another disappointing setback for him. He is still a young guy. What's his character like in responding to somebody's setbacks, his challenges he keeps seeming to face injury-wise?
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, we're hoping that this one isn't going to be nothing like the one that really put him out of the game for as near as, damn it, 6 months. So, I mean, we don't think or hope that it's going to be like that. It is another little setback that I'm sure he and we would have liked, that after his last 2 performances where he was so good, that he'd be stepping out on the pitch tomorrow night and, you know, treating us again to yet another great exhibition of football. He's been upset that can't happen, and as are we. But let's not put too much of a dampener on what's going to happen going forward. There's plenty of games left to play in this season. We've got another 18 league matches to play, and we're hoping he's going to be there to help us.
The timing of that win, obviously, the new year is a bit subjective, but coming into a new year, new competition, marginal gains, does that help at all, just being able to sort of wipe the slate clean and start afresh on a good note, some good momentum?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's everything really will depend upon how the results go, I suppose. I don't know that intrinsically there is anything of value to be taken from that statement, but then I wouldn't dismiss it either. I think it was quite important to finish the league, finish the year, calendar year for us as we did, because that result was necessary against a team who are fighting in the same sort of area of the league as we are. So we were happy about that. But everyone here is very realistic, and I think everyone here, there's a lot of young players, but they understand, like the old ones, the players and staff, that every match is different, every match has got its own story, and every match starts from zero. And you don't take any credit from the last game with you, but luckily you don't necessarily take any negativity from the last game with you. Confidence, of course, can be affected, and the good results give confidence, the bad results take away confidence, but that's all part and parcel of a football player and a manager and coach's life. We have to learn to live with that, and we have to be careful that in the good moments the confidence doesn't make us get carried away in some way and forget what is important. And by the same token, we mustn't allow the bad results to suddenly start us doubting all the good things that we know we're capable of doing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That's the end of the broadcast section.